this video I'm gonna show you guys 5 builds that you can use to fight Fatalis for the first time.
死を恐れるな。
First of all, I want to speak about some recurring skills you guys are going to be seeing on those builds. And one that is going to be pretty frequent here is Critical Eye at level 7, Health Boost at level 3, Fire Resistance at level 3, and Critical Boost. Now, why each one of those skills? Well, Critical Eye just increases your affinity. Agitator is also here because it increases your affinity by 10% and gives you a little bit more attack. Divine Blessing, whenever you see it, is just because the effective health boost that Divine Blessing gives you is way better than Defense Boost. Defense Boost is never worth it, except in one case that I'll show later. Attack Boost level 4 because of the affinity, Health Boost so that you can survive some fire attacks, Fire Resistance always should be used against Fatalis, Critical Boost to increase the damage dealt. Now the first level of Critical Boost is the most important one, and some of the builds are going to be showing you guys only uses one level of this. Power Prolonger increases the duration weapons are powered up, that includes the longsword. We have Part Breaker in a lot of those builds. Part Break increases part damage, helps you break the head to get to the third phase, and this skill here is Evade Window, increases the invulnerability time when you dodge. We also have Clutch Claw Boost in every single build, which comes from the gel called Shaver. This allows you to be literally the quickest weekend on the game because you can just hit it. We have Resuscitate, that when you are blighted with fire, which will happen frequently, improves your evasion and vulnerability time and reduces your stamina depletion. That means that you can dodge with more iframes. And you also have Fortify, because every time you faint, and you will faint on Fatalis quite a bit if you're trying solo for the first time, it increases your attack and defense. Now, another skill that you're going to see frequently that is not here is Weakness Exploit. And Weakness Exploit makes so that you hit with extra affinity on wounded parts. And for all of those builds, we're gonna be using the upgraded Alatrian Blade, the Dark Claw Demise, with the augments Affinity Increase, Health Regen, and Element or Status Effect up. This is gonna be used in all my builds except for the post-Fatalis one where I use the Fatalis Blade. So now let's go over the builds. The first build is a mix of Golden Loon armor with a few random pieces of armor. We're gonna use Young Garuga Greaves, Golden Loon Coil Alpha, Escadora Arm Guards Alpha, Golden Loon Mail Beta, and Frostfang Helm Beta. This is the setup with the gems, and this is what the build has. It's the one that I just showed you guys. The reason I like this build is because it gives you Punishing Draw, which is a great skill for longsword that you guys are gonna see quite a bit in here, which increases the attack power of drawing attacks. Now, ISS and Foresight Slash are both drawing attacks, so they both do damage with this. Those are the special draw from sheath moves for longsword. The next build on the list is the Golden Loon Cove Terror Mix. And this Golden Loon Cove Terror Mix is probably one of the strongest builds in here, apart from the last one. It has Critical Boost level 3, Attack Boost, Divine Blessing at level 5, which is allowed by Golden Loon 2 pieces, has Weakness Exploit at max, a little bit of Critical Draw and Part Breaker, also has Peak Performance, which can literally be ignored right here. It's only here because it's a side effect of wearing the armor we are. We don't have many gem slots on this build, but we do have Divine Blessing Secret for Divine Blessing 5, and we have Guts. Now, what Guts does is that according per description in here, when you get attacked and you're above a certain health threshold, that if I'm not wrong is 20% health, so if you're gonna take more than 20% of your health in a single chunk, you survive. This combined with Moxie is absolutely great and will help you a lot against Fatalis. The next build is an Alatrian build that uses the Alatrian skill All Element Resistance and Element Conversion. Those two skills together gives you a lot of elemental attack, which Fatalis takes a lot of if you are hitting him on the head. For this build, you'll be using Escadora on the 3 top parts. You'll be using Escadora Pants for 3 levels of defense boost and 1 level of dragon attack, and I'll explain why you want the 3 levels of defense boost, the skill that I just said does bad. And you're also using the Frostfang Coil for the Punishing Draw. Now, why do you want defense boost 3? Well, that's because what Alatrian does is that increases elemental defense and also increases the weapon elemental power with your elemental resistances. So with this build right now, I have almost no elemental resistances, but as I eat all elemental resistances up, that is gonna give me 15 on every element. But if I eat for elemental resistance, that is gonna give me a lot of levels. So right now I have 40 fire resistance, 6 water, 1 thunder, 22 ice, and 13 dragon. Fatalis does fire damage, and once I eat for 15 more fire damage, this all comes into place to give me a ton of attack. Because if you look at level 4 of defense boost, it also gives you +3 to all elemental resistances, and this all converts into to attack for you. Now on this build, you can choose to go either with this level of heavy artillery here, or you can put this as fire resistance if you need to swap around and go with another destroyer gem. But when I played this build, I never had a problem breaking the head because it is a longsword, so I don't think you guys have a problem with that either. My next build is very similar to the old one, but I am using two very strong pieces of armor that you might have or might not have acquired before you fight Fatalis, a monster that is arguably harder than Fatalis, Arch-Tempered Velcana. I'm using the Rhyme Guard Coil and the Greaves. Now, why am I using those? I'm using those because they give me a talent called Critical Element, okay? So this is basically the same build as before with elemental conversion and all elemental resistance, but it still gives me critical element and even more elemental defense, and I can slot in roughly the same gems, still having Dragon Attack 6 and basically all around the same skills, while still keeping Power Prolonger, adding focus on the build, which is just insanely cool for longsword because it allows us to feel our blade faster, and Power Prolonger, as I already said, is just amazing, just increases the duration the weapon is powered up. So this year you're probably going to be fighting with a red blade all the time unless you're Helm Splitter, and you still have critical element that adds into everything that you spoke before. This build has insane elemental damage and is probably the most damage out of all the pre-Fatalis builds that I'm going to show here. And the last pre-Fatalis build is a variation of the build I just showed you guys. For those of you that still haven't found the Dragon Plus gems, this build sacrifices Dragon Attack Plus to slot in Coalescence and Evade Window. It is a little bit safer, but you still have critical element. You're still going to be doing a ton of damage, just probably not as much as the last build because the Dragon Plus attack is very nice. It is worth mentioning that if you have this amulet here at max level, you can swap out your critical Y for this and get your critical somehow else and try to slot in Dragon Attack 6 on the build in many different ways. And the comfort build that I personally use to kill Fatalis is this one. I rarely die on this build. It is very full of comfort. I have 5 levels of Divine Blessing on it. I have stun resistance, I have fire resistance, I have evade window, I have quick sheet, flinch free, evade extender, 2 specialist, and those are all skills just to keep me safe when I'm in the fight. This build is absolutely great. I highly recommend it to everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next video.